Hello everyone, not in my normal spot today because I just had a thought and I really wanted to try to get it all out on screen. With the increase in discussion around America's Next Top Model, I wanted to talk about what I would make in a America's Next Top Writer, right, or America's Next Top Author kind of TV show. And to be fair, there were a lot of issues with America's Next Top Model. I'm not going to get into any of those. I'm not going to talk about that at all. But what I am going to talk about is how when the contestants on the show entered into the show, right, what they were getting out of this, what they thought they would get out of this was obviously the prizes of various different contracts, great portfolio pieces, money, exposure, visibility, right? All of that. But the other component that they got out of this was mentorship, coaching, and skill development from people in the industry. Now, that is vital, and that's something that a lot of them maybe weren't prepared for as soon as they actually got into the industry, especially the winners or anybody who left the show and said, I'm still going to continue trying to model, right? They discovered the hustle part of it and how hard the industry is to get into. Now, we're writers, we're authors. We're going to talk about this from the writing perspective side of things because I think it's really important that authors completely have a better understanding of the kinds of things that would be expected of you in the modern publishing industry. Okay, so in the current day and age, it's not enough to just write a good book. Obviously, you have to write a good book. That has to be step one, because if you don't write a good book, your book won't sell very well. It won't, once you get it momentum, because you can get anything momentum in marketing. I've done it for all sorts of books. We can get anything momentum, but if you get that momentum and then the book is a lower quality read and does not connect with readers in the same way, you are not going to be able to maintain that momentum because the book is supposed to seal the deal, right? I can sell anybody on an idea, on a pitch, on a concept, but if once they actually get the product in their hand, they're disappointed, they're not going to tell anybody that they enjoyed it, they're not going to enjoy it, and that momentum is going to be dead in the water no matter what you do. And there's a lot of other pieces in that mix, so don't take this as any sort of, if your book isn't selling, then it must be bad. That's not necessarily true, right? What is true is that there are a lot of moving pieces and there are a lot of skills. And if you enter into this industry, like a lot of models entered into their industry thinking, oh, I'm pretty, I can take a good photo. That's all I have to be able to do. You will be disappointed because the nature of the book industry now, in modern day, is that authors are also creators. Authors are also marketers. We're also becoming influencers. There is no way around that, okay? So, in this current day and age, where even Hollywood actors need to have visibility in some other way, shape, or form, even Taylor Swift needs to have her own content creation going on, right? Taylor Swift being the most powerful woman in the world, probably. Granted, she could disappear off the face of the earth and then just drop an album and the world would still freak out about it and buy it. But part of what works so well for her is that she mastered this creator element, the ability to sell directly to her followers, the people who are interested in what she's doing. She mastered that fan base creation, and that has been the biggest component in her success. And then she followed that up with just amazing music, right? Whatever you want to say about Taylor Swift, her music resonates with millions of people. To some degree, that means that it must be amazing. So, we're going to talk about this in the writing industry. If I were to make a show called America's Next Top Author, and we were going to do this game show style or reality TV style, I think game show would probably be better than reality TV because it would be kind of boring to watch everybody sit there and write all day long. But if we were to do that, here's what I would include as the external challenges, because obviously there would be time to develop craft, time to develop story, critiques from industry experts, discussions on plotting and storytelling and writing techniques, right? How do you keep writing when you're facing writer's block? If you're taking a deep dive into a book, how do you pour that much effort into a book and actually get it all written in that way? So there would be all of that component as well, in the same way that here's photos, photo critiques, etc. The other skills that would be necessary to develop are the publicity skills. Your ability to speak in front of a crowd, your ability to talk to strangers, your ability to sell your own product, right? So I would want to take these contestants and put them out front and outside of a bookstore at a table in a very realistic author signing setting, right? So you're signing a book, you're selling copies. I would want to put you in that realistic position and have you be responsible for getting people to stop at your table. Any author who has ever tried to do that will tell you that is one of the absolute hardest things that you can ever do. The number of stories, even Terry Pratchett has a story of having an author signing at a bookstore and having 2 people show up. John Green has a very well-known story, because he put it in his memoir, of having a signing for one of his early books, and 4 people showed up. 1 was his wife, 2 people were coworkers, one of whom was his boss at the time, and then 1 other person was one of their friends, one of the coworkers' friends, right? And the section of the book that he decided to read, because he was going to carry on no matter what, was a section that said, the only thing worse than having a party that nobody shows up to is having a party that only 2 people show up to, and they have to be there, right? And what he ended up doing accidentally was dissing everybody in attendance, because that's exactly what happened, right? So signings, events, they are necessary. They are the only way to maintain momentum and actually get books in the hands of readers in a way that sticks with them in a really resonant way, where they will remember the event, they will remember the author, they'll engage with you after the fact, right? They're necessary to sell books. They are the best way to sell books and to build an audience. However, they are also one of the absolute hardest things that you can ever do, because the attendance numbers are so low. Obviously, it gets a lot easier when you can fill out a whole room and sell tickets and sell books as part of the admission and have established speaking venues, because you have an established readership. But when you're building your established readership, when you're creating a readership at all, it is so incredibly difficult to do that. And so that's one of the challenges, would be to have a tally mark of how many people look at the book and how many people actually stop to talk to the author. How engaging can you be while at that table, right? So that's one of the challenges that I would have people do. Another challenge I would have people do is have them interview. If you're not going to be doing in-person events and signings like that, you can absolutely be doing online or digital or in-person interviews, whether that's radio or podcasts or YouTube channels or collaborations on social media. Interviews are an accessible way for authors to get the word out, right? And to talk about their stories and talk about the writing process. And it mimics the press room that happens for movie releases or book releases or on a large scale, where everybody does, we saw it with all of the press tour stuff that happened with Wicked. We saw those movie releases and those interviews, and they went viral because they were just absolutely bizarre. But you can do that for your own book as well. And if you don't know how to interview well, if you don't know how to interview at all, if you're completely frozen in front of the camera or in front of the other person, or if you find that you have nothing interesting to say, that is going to be an issue. And if you do not interview well, you won't be called back for more interviews, and that's going to shoot your career in the foot eventually, right? So that's another skill that I would have you develop, right? So we have interviewing and we have selling from a table. Another skill would be actually pitching yourself to literary agents, pitching yourself to publishers, creating your proposal. I work with authors day in and day out, most of whom are debut authors, and I receive their pitches And I can tell when somebody has spent time developing this skill and who has not spent time developing this skill. The people who have developed the skill give me exactly what I want, exactly what I've asked for, in exactly the format that I've asked them to provide it in. I don't have to work to double check all of their information that they give me, especially comp titles. I cannot even begin to tell you how often I go back through and say, hey, I need you to give me more on this comp title, or I need you to find a different one because this doesn't fit within the parameters that I specified, or this is entirely the wrong genre. I need you to try again. I cannot tell you how often that happens. So working on your proposal, that's it's a skill that you can develop. That's something that you can learn. All of these are learnable skills. They're hard to learn. They might not be fun for you to learn, but all of these marketing and publicity skills are learnable skills, and you can develop them, you can grow into them, and they can benefit you in the long run. Another one that I would force people to do, especially given the current nature of the publishing world, is getting into video creation. It sounds counterintuitive because you write. Why would you have to be comfortable in front of a camera? Why would you have to be comfortable talking to somebody like this? But the nature of the current internet is video. Eventually, I'm sure that will change to holograms, but for right now, video is people's preferred way to receive information. It's their preferred way to be entertained. It's their preferred way to spend some time. They're going to sit there and watch a short video, and then they'll move on with their lives while they wait for the bus, or while they wait in the store, or while they're scrolling while sitting in the bathroom, right? They're going to sit and watch videos, and part of it is because it captures your attention in a different way, and also because it doesn't require as much focus or intentionality to keep up with. So that would be one of the other things that I would force these contestants to do, is to make videos every single day, either about the process of writing, about the books that they are reading, about the things that they like in media, things that will connect with their potential audience, right? Those are the things that I would force these people to do, because as soon as you have those skills, you have the ability to grow it into an audience that will buy your books, that will be interested in your books, that will be following you from here until the end of your career. And that's what you need in today's day and age. You're going to have people who don't like one book or the other, and you have to be able to have the tough skin to hear people saying, I didn't like that book, or that character was really flat, I didn't enjoy that. Or actually, no, I thought that character was a misogynist, and I will not be reading any more books from this person. I thought, you're going to be called things in your book reviews. It's how that goes. People can be mean when they're hiding behind a keyboard. And on the other hand, you're also going to have people say, you're my new favorite author. I've never felt so seen as I felt while reading this book. I'm a fan for life. This is incredible. You entertain me. You never fail to entertain me. This is what I'm here for. You get both, even though our brains latch on to that negative tone a lot better. So as we're developing your skills, that's also a skill that we would go through, is learning how to accept criticism, learning how to apply it, knowing when to apply it into a critique or when to pull it back, knowing when to focus in on something that needs development, and when to say, I think that person just wasn't getting it. And either I failed to actually put it in a way that they could understand as the writer, it's my job to make sure that they could understand this concept, or possibly they're just not the right reader for my work. And to say that and move on, right? Those are skills that you have to develop, that you have to learn. So as we talk about what this TV show would look like, right? It'd be great if I could make this a TV show and we could get a contract with Penguin Random House and we could go from there. The hardest part about this, right, is that even if I got you that contract, even if Penguin produced your book, sold it, put it in bookstores, even if you had all of this exposure from this show being aired, you would still have to maintain and do all of the things that I taught you how to do on the marketing and publicity side to make sure that your book continues to sell. Because if Penguin does a 100,000 copy print run and gives you whatever advance that would be, if they do that, they're going to expect to sell all 100,000 copies. And if you can't sell all 100,000 copies, then we're all in hot water, right? And that's the nature of the publishing industry. This is a business. It's the entertainment industry. If you can't entertain and you can't sell and you can't make money, you're not going to get a renewed contract. And maybe how you operate sets the tone for anybody who comes after you. So those are the skills that I would want to teach writers if I were doing this sort of TV show, because I think that was one of the most valuable things that any of the contestants on America's Next Top Model actually received, which, again, so many issues with that show because of the nature of how they were treated, what they had to do. I mean, they were extreme circumstances in most cases, right? It was the worst of what you'll have to face as a model, not the middle of the road of what you'll have to face as a model. And it's important to prepare you for that, but I feel like focusing too much on that can be extreme psychological torture in some ways. So again, not saying that anything that happened on that show was good, and not even saying that anybody that was on the show could actually latch on to any of that advice or critique because of the nature of the circumstances of the show. But if I were to take this and put this into a writing world, those are the skills that I would have people tested on, have people practiced on, because those are the skills that will allow you to negotiate, to allow you to learn the business side of things, allow you to actually sell your book in a way that matters and will resonate with readers and will build that readership. So anyway, a bit of a different video today. I haven't done a video like this in a long time, but those are my thoughts because it's all viral right now and people are talking about it everywhere, at least they are on my feeds. Also, just one last little side note here, and it's a quote from Taylor Swift. She said this after she released The Life of a Showgirl. And she said, "If it is the week after my album released," and this might be a paraphrase, but she said something along these lines, "If it's the week after my album released and you are saying my name or the title of the album, then you are helping me." Whether, and this was in relation to people saying, "Oh, it's the worst album ever, I don't like it, she really flopped with this one," or whatever, right? People were talking about her album, which was making people go listen to it, which was helping her get exposure. That is also true of all of the kerfluffle around Tyra Banks and America's Next Top Model and the Reality Check documentary series. As long as we continue saying these names, Tyra will continue to benefit. That's just how that works. The Jays will continue to benefit, right? For better or worse, regardless of what truth has come out or not come out, it's all publicity spin. It's all he said, she said, no matter what we do with this scenario. So the more we keep talking about it, the more they will all get paid, the more they will all get more appearances on TV, right? Exclusive interviews to just keep the hype going. That is the nature of publicity. It's one of the hardest things about publicity. So just keep that in mind as we continue to make videos like this and engage in videos like this. I know I'm part of the problem here, but at least I could hopefully help you as a writer or a reader who's interested in the publishing industry. Hopefully I could help you have a little bit more information about what this looks like and how this goes, because this industry, it takes more than just writing a good book. You have to have a good book in the same way the model has to have, she has to be pretty, right? She has to have that going for her in order to make anything else work. But it is not the only component of what makes somebody successful in that field. In the same way that having a good book, if nobody ever reads it, it doesn't matter how good the book is. That is the nature of publishing. It takes the decent books with a good salesman, and those are the ones that can then expand and explode, and then you can get more help to make those books even better for the future. You can have books that need more editing, that need more polishing, more fixing, longer production time even, right? But if the first one doesn't sell, you won't ever get to that second one. And unless you keep pushing through and keep forcing your way through. And I mean, you see this all the time too. Think about Veronica Roth. She went really big with Divergent because it followed the Hunger Games and it was huge, right? And then she disappeared for a long time because people didn't like how the Divergent series ended. And now she's come back with her other more recent books, and I can't remember the titles right now, but she came back with those books, and everyone loved them. They said that her writing had improved so dramatically, and they're incredible. That is the nature of progressing through your career. That's what should happen. She had so much success that she was able to pour more into her skill development. And then when she came back and she sold again and she had a following from Divergent, she was able to then sell these books to the even more, even higher, even wider, right? So anyway, there you go. That was a much longer ramble than I meant for it to be. I was trying for this to be a much shorter video, but I actually don't think I'm going to edit this either. I think I'm just going to post it as is because it's kind of fun to be just fully authentic in this way. So, hi, good to see you. What are your thoughts on this? Tell me down below. What are the skills that you would want to develop in this kind of show setting if it were ever to happen? What are the things that you've found to be difficult in your writing career? And as a reader, were there any things that I said that you were unprepared for, that you didn't think were part of being a published author? Any of the things that you struggle with as an author that you say, man, I really wish I didn't have to do this, but also any of the success stories of, you know, I wished that I didn't have to do this, but then I started doing it and actually I discovered I really love it, or it worked really well, or I finally connected with my audience. I want to hear those stories, so tell me down below. And until next time, I'll see you then. Some other videos will be popping up over here this time because of just how I'm filming this on my phone in my hand. That's also why it's a little shakier. I think you'll probably like these videos. And if I don't think so, YouTube thinks so. So you may as well take a little gander and see what happens. But until next time, I'll see you then. Bye.